talk about volunteering. Is this because maybe there are some positions in Life Church that need some volunteers and we could really do with like a PowerPoint presentation to talk about it? Yes. But there's more to it, and I'm going to tell you all about that because there is science. And we all love science. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't be here. Okay, so I'm giving you kind of the big picture why of people volunteering, why it's important. There's a lot of scientific studies done about volunteering correlating with happiness. As you can see, the American Psychology Association did a longitudinal study. That means they did it for a long time, of volunteering and how it correlated with people's happiness. And wouldn't you know it, there was a positive increase of overall well-being if they consistently volunteered. Who knew? And they're talking about mental and emotional health for the main part, which of course affects our physical health. So, there's that. The other study that I found that was really interesting is they actually put a monetary value to volunteering. You can read it's $1,100 a year, which means basically you can't afford not to volunteer. You're like making money volunteering. And then here's a graph that went with that study, which I was really happy. Look at how it blends with my point. This is average life, I can't tell where my pointer is. This is average life satisfaction over the amount of time volunteering. As you can see, funnily enough, the more people volunteered, the happier they were, on average. All right, so then the not science part of volunteering. We are part of a community here, and either to me directly or to me indirectly because you've told someone else who told me, people come here because they feel that this community is a safe community, a community that they love, feels like home, feels like a community that they can really engage in and they want to come back. And if you are part of a community like that, you do not leave it up to one person to hold up a pillar of that community. So kids ministry, worship, AVL, greeting, hospitality, whatever the pillars are, that should be shared. That's what I think Jesus said, my yoke is light, because it's a shared yoke, it's a shared burden. And so if we had 4 people for hospitality or 4 people for AVL or then we had just one person per month, and then you can actually, on your off days, just come and be at church and just be present. And that's a real gift. To be able to do that. When you have skin in the game, you're just more likely to stay committed. So committing to volunteering is like, yes, I am here. I'm saying that this is my community. Am I just saying words, or am I actually putting some skin in the game? So this might feel like I'm calling people out. The truth is I actually only know people on my worship team who volunteer and on AVL. I don't know who else volunteers really for what. So I'm not calling people out. I'm just calling you up to the plate to say, if you're feeling like, I don't know if I would be good at this, it's fine. You'll be taught. You'll be just brought along at the rate that you can handle, and it's really fun. For those of you who are parents, a point that I thought of was that your kids really watch you, and they see what you're doing, and they really are sponges. I don't know if any of you have seen actual sea sponge in the ocean, what they look like. They're literally like, they have channels, and the water, they can't move, so the water is just flowing in and out, and whatever's in the water are the nutrients that they get. And that's how kids are. They're just here along for the ride wherever their parents take them. The water's coming in, the water's flowing out, and they're just taking good and bad, whatever the nutrients are. So if they're seeing you volunteering, they're really going to pick up on that and think, okay, I want to do that too when I'm older. And then this last point, it really was for Matt Carper, but he's not here today. For people who love a challenge, I just love a challenge. If you're like, I dare you to do blah, 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 I'm like, okay, I'm down for that. So that's a short point, but it might be important to somebody. So that's all the whys of volunteering. The areas for volunteering that are kind of my my wheelhouse. AVL is not really my wheelhouse. I'd point you to Ashlyn, but we do need some people for AVL. Jury was out on what the L stood for, so I just... Okay, lighting. Didn't ask Zach. Audio, visual, lighting. Google has a lot of ideas. The church online producer. It's just a word, producer. It might sound scary, but it's not that bad. It just means you're going to be doing, setting up these little iPhone cameras, streaming live so that we can actually have the video available to put on YouTube after. And see, everyone can go on YouTube. That's not bad. Video projection and lighting. Wait, didn't I just talk about video projection? Am I confusing them? Video projection is the slides. That's what it is. Slides are actually really important. I have run slides before in my previous church, and I will say is not for the faint of heart. But that's not to scare you away, because it's a really important job. It just means you have to be paying attention and not get into the music too much, because then suddenly the words are wrong and you're just like, well, Jesus. Oh, we're not singing that anymore. So that's all that means, is getting the words right, putting them in the right order, and the lighting, self-explanatory. And then audio engineering, this one I would say is the most technically challenging. I think it's a real skill to be a good audio engineer, but Ashlyn is a really good teacher. He taught me everything I needed to know for the program that the musicians use, and it was easy peasy. I was doing it the next day. So Ashlyn's your guy for any of that. Fill out a volunteer form, check off the box that you want to do for AVL. If you want to volunteer on the worship team, fill out a volunteer form and check off worship team. All these positions we can use more people on. I do have little auditions that I do, but they're not scary. I'm not scary. So fill out your form.